AVC, I'm back. Alan, back. It's been a little while. Um, I figured I'm piling up a bunch of stuff here that I wanted to talk about. Got to get one of these videos done. So I'm just going to blow through them. First, an update. I think I mentioned last time I was getting a new tone arm, a Graham 2.2 for the Michelle Gyro turntable. I'll make this short. Got the tone arm, set it up, put on the, took a while, took a few hours. I had to get a new arm board for it as well. Took a little while, finally got it set up, put the Lyra Scala on it, started playing some records, and glorious. Amazing right out of the gate. So I got very excited and started getting a little fanatical, so I figured, well, you know what, this is a unipivot arm. I've never been able to check azimuth before, or alter azimuth, and you can on this arm, so I figured I'd better check the azimuth as well as I could. So I got out the only thing I could, which is my digital microscope, started measuring, started taking pictures and adjusting, and my hand slips and the tone arm goes across the platter, snaps the cantilever off the Lyra Scala. It's one of those, like, holy crap moments that you don't want. You know, the Scala, when I bought it, it had recently been retipped by Soundsmith. A new cantilever and stylus, and not retipped, a new cantilever and stylus. Ruby cantilever. Devastating mistake. Kind of rookie. Never changed a tone arm before. Never did some of these things before. And you know what I mean? After you've been working for a few hours on something, probably time to take a break and stop, because you know you start rushing and you get very sort of frustrated fast. And I think, you know, I just rushed through this and usually very careful, and so now I sent that back to Soundsmith. So that's going to be, I don't know, a couple months waiting for that to get retipped again, and at a great expense, which I didn't need. Fortunately, I had another cartridge, the Phasmation PP300, and so I ended up putting that on. But in this case, the pin tags, the pin connectors on the tone arm were very tight. So when I put it on, I had to adjust. I had to take them off, but I couldn't get them off because it was so tight. And I'm pulling and I'm pulling and I'm pulling, and guess what? Yanked one of the connectors right out of the wire, right out of the silver wire. I mean, at this point, I'm going ballistic. Not a good day. Fortunately, I got in touch with Graham Engineering, and I believe spoke to Mr. Graham himself, who said that he would solder on another connector, very reasonably priced, very, if I mailed it to him. So I did that. I'm waiting on that. So can't tell you too much about the new tone arm because I screwed it all up. Just a horrible kind of rookie mistake. You know, stop. If you start sweating after a couple hours of working, it's probably time to, doing delicate work, it's time to put it aside. Little bit of advice. All right. When I get all this worked out, I will report back. First one, just showing off. This is a German copy, I believe. Can't recall if this is a first press, but I believe it is. I can't say for sure. It may not be, but it is a German press. and sounds very good. It's completely clean, nice and shiny. Sort of an overlooked Floyd album, Pink Floyd album. I like all of them, and this one is no exception. So, it doesn't get a lot of attention, but, you got the Nile song in here, you got Cirrus Minor, Cymbaline's a great song. Some of them I don't know. Up the Khyber I think is really good. It's just, it's not one of their great albums, but it's very good. All right, here's a band you probably never heard of called Druid. Or maybe you have. You probably know more than me. This is a British pressing, if I'm not mistaken, on EMI. And how was I going to sum this up? It was like, where are they from? No, I can't remember. I guess maybe they're British. But it's kind of like a Yes sort of, I don't want to say rip-off, but it's a Yes influenced. The vocalist has very high voice. Dane, I believe his name is. High voice like John Anderson. And it's not, it's not like as inspired as anything Yes ever did, but it's still pretty decent. It's melodic prog rock from England. Or, yeah, I think it's British. And, that's all I need, really. I just love that whole genre. So, hard to recommend to someone if you're not a fan of that genre, but if you are, and you see it, worth adding to your collection. Who's got this? I don't have much to say about it yet. This is Dead Can Dance, Serpent's Egg. This is nothing like what I expected. I'd seen this a lot of, audiophiles talking about it, or at shows. They would play it as a demonstration record or something. I thought they were kind of a jazz band. I didn't know what they were. I saw this just had been reissued, so I picked it up. And it's all this sort of like gothic stuff, which is actually pretty neat. So I did like it. It's really good. It's very unique. Some stuff probably copied it afterwards, so it may not seem totally original now, but I think at the time it probably was. So I only listened to this once, but I was very intrigued. So I'm sure a lot of you know this record already, but this was new to me. So I look forward to getting more out of this. Now for some actual jazz, I found a copy of this, which is on Riverside. I think this is going to be an earlier original pressing of Thelonious himself, Thelonious Monk, and it's basically, I want to say this is, I don't know when this stuff was recorded. Here we go. Maybe it's various times, because Coltrane's on one of these pieces, and that's from 57, or would have been from around 57. So I don't know. I'm guessing, because it's got April in Paris on it and Around Midnight, Monk's Mood. I'm guessing that this is like a collection of stuff. I don't know if it was re-recorded. I should have come prepared, but I'm not. It may just be like a collection at the time, issued in the 60s. But, Monk pretty much playing by himself. Some of those great songs. Can't go wrong. Great stuff. I got two jazz pieces this time. There's another one that was just reissued. I even got the sticker on it still. This is our Tatum Ben Webster Quartet. I was watching the Woody Allen movie, September. And I believe this album plays a big part in the movie. They mention it. Art Tatum and Ben Webster, and I'm pretty sure it's this album. and it's just wonderful, wonderful, slow, romantic jazz. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Woody's pretty good with the music recommendations. I gotta say, this is from '56, and highly, highly recommended. I mean, if you've got a lady friend that you would like to woo in some fashion, put this on. Mission accomplished. Classical today. Got some Shostakovich. The first recording of the Concerto for Cello, and with Rostropovich, the great cellist. Well, I thought it was Russian, but it's actually Azerbaijani, I think. And the recording of Symphony Number 1. It's the Philadelphia Orchestra, again my hometown, so I gotta love it. I wish I knew where this stuff was recorded in Philly, or if it was in New York or where it was. I don't know. I don't know if it was at the Academy of Music in Philly. That's where this concert took place, of the debut of this piece, with Shostakovich in attendance. This is him at the recording session. Again, on Columbia Masterworks. Sounds amazing. Great, great piece. I hadn't known the cello concerto for cello before. And it's a great piece. It's later, I think, in his career. Opus 107, but it's highly recommended. Again, this is a great work. I'm guessing it's written, in the 50s, and loved it. Here's an interesting one, which some of you may know. Frank Sinatra's concept album, Watertown. I've been very curious about this for years. Watertown, A Love Story. It's produced by Bob Gaudio, who brought kind of like a pop sensibility, late 60s pop sensibility to Sinatra, more than probably any of his other recordings. I think this is great. I started listening to this and immediately fell in love with it. A couple of songs I knew. What's Now Is Now might have been on some greatest hits thing. Amazing song. Watertown's an amazing song. Elizabeth and What a Funny Girl is great. Goodbye is good. The whole thing is great. I mean, this kind of gets mixed reviews sometimes, but I think it's really terrific. I highly recommend this. If you're a Sinatra fan, it's very different for him, but like a mature adult concept album that totally works musically. So, loved it. And there's another one I was just listening to lately. It was Quincy Jones, Smackwater Jack. This takes, I think, some of the pieces he's written for other things, like the theme from the Anderson tapes and Ironside, and then does some other people, does some covers, like What's Going On, and Smackwater Jack, which is a Goffin and King song. I didn't realize that. Great, great, groovy tune. This is an amazing album. I got a lot of amazing albums this time. That was totally by accident. But sometimes, I'll show you ones that are sort of just decent. But this is another one that's just great. Funky, again, but mature, kind of jazzy, but, 70s contemporary, very accessible. It's a really terrific album. It's the only Quincy Jones album I've ever bought. And I probably should have some of his soundtracks, but I don't. So, look at that, Jim Hall on guitar, what do you know? Freddie Hubbard shows up here. Joe Beck, a lot of great people. Not surprisingly, Quincy Jones. So, another one that I got a lot of diversity here this week, which I try to always do, but I don't mean diversity. You know what I mean? I mean in music, and I think this rounds it out pretty well. So that's the last one I have. Quincy Jones, Smackwater Jack, great music. That's it for this time. See you next time.